And we're back. Let me ask you a question. Are you a DM that has always wanted to run a long-lasting, fulfilling Dungeons and Dragons campaign, but you just don't know where to start? Well, today we're going to go step by step through the process of how I created my own homebrew campaign. Hi, I'm Scudder for Mike. On this channel, we play old school games in the style of the Bro SR. What you want is to start with a concept, some sort of inspiration. For me, it's the classic 1981 cartoon Heavy Metal. The aesthetic, the style, the music, everything about it speaks to me. There's weird laser guns and cultists with swords. There's a weird space rock that is mutating people. I think that's so cool, and I want to take it whole cloth and just drop it right into my campaign. Maybe you're inspired by something different, and that's cool. Find something that makes you feel excited. Take that inspiration and feel free to copy it directly into your game. Next, you're going to want to choose a rule set. I chose Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. It's a very complete system. It answers all kinds of questions that might come up at the table, and it produces long-lasting campaigns. I'm also taking massive inspiration from The Living Campaign by John McGowan. This book is great. It details step by step everything a new dungeon master needs to create a long-lasting campaign. Super inspirational. It's a must-buy. The link is in the description. Also, I took massive inspiration from How to Win at D&D by Jeffro Johnson. This book has changed the face of our hobby. Using classic gaming philosophies like patron players, Braunstein, and one-to-one time, you can transform your game into something that will last past 6 sessions. Now, do you need to read The Living Campaign and How to Win at D&D and all 3 core rulebooks of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons before you begin? No, just get started. Questions will come up at the table, write them down, revisit it later. Your players are going to help you, and over time, you will master your system. So, we need to be really organized on how we keep our notes, our maps, and any player character sheets that we're going to hang on to. So I recommend getting a notebook, jotting down any important dates that come up in the game, any important NPCs, and any quest hooks that you generate. I keep an extra folder here for maps and player character sheets as well. It's important to stay organized, but your system, whatever works for you, I like paper, but whatever works for you, just go with it. I cannot emphasize enough how important tracking time is for running a long-lasting, fulfilling living campaign. As you know on the channel, we use one-to-one time. This tracks for every day that passes in the real world. One day is going to pass in the game world as well, as long as there's no play happening at the table. I have a video that breaks down how to run one-to-one time and what it is right up here if you want to check it out. But for now, let's just look at a scenario where one group is running with traditional stop time play and another is using Jeffro Gygaxian one-to-one time. In both scenarios, the group meets every 2 weeks. In the first group, we are using conventional play, and at the end of the session, we stop time there, and 2 weeks will pass in real life where nothing really happens in the game. Everything's frozen in place. The players aren't texting you with ideas, they're probably not even thinking about the game whenever they leave the table. After 2 weeks, everyone comes back and everyone tries to remember what it is that happened last time. Now, let's look at the other example where we're using one-to-one. The same group meets every 2 weeks, but at the end of session, they don't stop time, they just make sure that they're back in town. Now, in that 2-week interval, players are going to be texting and interacting with each other and the dungeon master about what their character is getting up to during this period between the 2 sessions. When you come back to the table, the characters have advanced. They've accomplished personal goals. Maybe they've gotten some XP. They have things to talk about. The game keeps moving. It's really exciting, and it is fundamental to keeping a campaign alive. Now we need a map. Where is this game taking place? You don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. You don't need to create a full world map. I start with the 6 Mile Hex. Using Appendix B in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, I filled in a map, as you can see here. It's pretty small, but there's a lot going on inside of it. There's a starting town, there's some factions, and I rolled up 2 dungeons, so we already have something to go with. Now, this next part is optional, but I really enjoyed doing this. I took the hex map that I generated, and I turned it into a player-facing map. You can see here there are civilizations, towns, and dungeons that the players are going to want to engage with. They have questions about these things, and that's what's going to drive the motivation. Next, I reached out to my friends on Twitter, and I asked them to take control of some of the factions on my map. We have dwarves, we have elves, we've got some evil orcs, and they never disappoint. These guys have stepped up. They've already helped me generate lore. They're running these little towns on the map, and they are pushing the narrative forward in a way that I can't do all by myself. It takes a lot of energy for a dungeon master to have unique and special ideas for every feature on the map. There's a lot of moving pieces here. Hand off some of that work to your buddies who are not playing in the game. They're going to have really great ideas, and it's going to inspire your players to be motivated to interact with them and maybe solve quests for them. Here you can see a quest generator that I created in about 10 minutes. I took all the factions from the player map, put them on a D6 table with quest objectives and different locations. With a simple roll of 3 dice, I have an infinite amount of quests that I can throw at the players. Let's look at how that plays out right now. So here we have the quest generator that I've made for my Advanced Dungeons and Dragons campaign. This will serve 2 purposes. First, if the players are just kind of staring at each other, they don't know what to do, I can quickly roll up a quest and have something that will get them moving. If they're not really interested in what I generated, I can use it as a rumor seeder. So I roll up a quest giver, their opposition. What is the goal that they want, and where will it be located? If they don't take the bait, I can still use this to have people talk about the conflicts that are generating in town, and it keeps the narrative rolling from week to week. So I'm going to quickly just roll up a quest and show you guys how I do this. All right, so number 3, this gives us Alvric Wirewind. He is the elf merchant in town, and the orcs are always raiding his caravan, stealing his supplies, attacking his people. So what is it that he wants? He wants to collect a bounty. Okay, so maybe there's like an orc in particular that is like extra vicious and has made a name for himself stealing from Mr. Wirewind here. And number 2, where are we going to go? We're going into the swamps. So yeah, extra dangerous territory there. Let's roll again. Here we have Sergeant Hester. He's the mayor of the town, and his biggest issue is the Quagleaf Coven, the group of hags. And let's see, collect another bounty. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. It doesn't always have to be a hag. It can be their lieutenants. It can be a sergeant in their group. This gives you an opportunity to generate NPCs that will have a lasting impact on the campaign. Where are we going? We're going to Highland Mott. Oh, that is the castle, the mega dungeon. So there's a bounty to collect in the mega dungeon. Excellent, cool. Let's try again. Again, the mayor. What do we have this time? This time we're going to be... Ooh, okay. So he wants us to either consecrate or desecrate something. Where does he want us to do it? Into the rifts. So that's the Underdark in my campaign. So maybe we need to desecrate a demonic shrine or consecrate a blessed shrine to the good church. See, as you can see, like just rolling 3d6, you can generate a lot of different variations. It's really a lot of fun. I would suggest that you make something very similar to this, or I mean, if you want, you could just use all of my NPCs. With this table, and with your patron players, you should never be running out of fuel to motivate and push your campaign forward. Dungeon generation can be pretty complex. I decided with the 2 that were populated in my hex that one would be pretty small, around a D12 plus 8 rooms, and the other is going to be a massive, epic mega dungeon that the players can plunder whenever they feel like it. So I'm going to start with my smaller dungeon, roll that up using Appendix A, populating it with monsters and treasure, and seeding some rumors that lead the players to that place. And that brings us to probably the most difficult aspect of getting a campaign off the ground: creating some rumors. Now, there isn't really a set number of rumors that you need to generate to start your campaign. I think I did a dozen. And what I did was I took each of the factions and each of the features on my map, and I created some lore about them that would push the players into exploring these places. So there's a rumor to push them to the elves, to the dwarves, up to that high mountain peak up in the corner, and down to the dungeons. Players are going to have their own ideas about where they want to visit and what they're interested in. Let them guide the campaign. Let your patrons motivate them with quest rewards, with treasure, with magic items. Let their curiosity push the campaign forward. Do not spend all of your energy draining yourself week after week trying to come up with a master story. Simple random monster checks, patron motivation, and a little bit of inter-party conflict can drive your campaign into places that one DM can't generate all on his own. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you get a better idea of how it is that I came up with my campaign, and maybe you can use this in your own. If you did, can you leave a comment down below and tell me about your campaign at home? And as always, please hit like and subscribe, and share the video if you found it helpful. All right, catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.